2019 has came to a close, and now it's time to talk about my top 10 favorite films of 2019. The year ended the decade off with a bang. A lot of great films have came out this year that really satisfied me. And while I love all the films that are on this list, not all the films I've given my A or A minus ratings have been able to make it to my top 10 list, because there were so many of those films that were really that good that I just couldn't always fit in. So for honorable mentions, we have Alita: Battle Angel, Good Boys, Toy Story 4, Spider-Man: Far From Home, and Arctic. These films were great with good characters and a really good story, but these 10 were able to make it to my list. So starting at number 10, we have Dr. Sleep. This was an extremely satisfying sequel to The Shining. Not only did it have to live up to both the director's original film and the author, it had to live up to fan expectations and be able to tell a compelling story that follows up like the last film. And like Blade Runner 2049 in 2017, it follows up the first film really well and gave us something that we all didn't know what we want, and gave us a sequel that was extremely satisfying. Coming up at number 9, we have John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum. This is the third entry into the John Wick franchise, and my god, these films get better and better and better. The choreography and stunt work, the fighting and action, the direction, the writing, everything is an improvement over the last film, and this one just hooks you right at its first scene and never lets you go at the end. John Wick Chapter 3 is a great film, and I strongly recommend it. Coming up at number 8, we have Knives Out. This is a much more recent film, so maybe that's why it's probably in my top 10, but nevertheless, while I do think the first act kind of dragged on a little bit too long, I got no other problem. The mystery was interesting, the characters were intriguing, the direction was solid, and the twists and turns in the film were really satisfying. Coming up at number 7, we have Shazam. This is an extremely surprising film for me. Number 1, it's a DC property. 50-50, they will most likely suck in modern times. But this is a DC film that has fun with itself, but also has a lot of heart to it, a lot of dramatic moments, and gives you time to care about the characters. And when all the crazy stuff happens to them, you are immediately you care about them, and you want them to get through the situation. You want Billy Batson to be the hero that this city deserves. Now, coming up at number 6, we have Us. This is a horror film that Jordan Peele really hit home at. While I know a lot of people don't like this one, and this is one of the most divisive films of this year, in my opinion, I feel like its tone and characters were able to be consistent throughout. The directing was solid, the twist was intriguing, and it just makes you think right after the film ends for long periods of time. And for a movie to do that is really doing something. Now, coming up at number 5, we have Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This is a Quentin Tarantino film that looks back on Hollywood and kind of points out some criticisms about it, about how the modern, maybe past action hero can sometimes fade out of popularity, and how these people have to deal with that. And this is told in a really fun and exciting and really funny manner, and Quentin Tarantino is back at it again with another classic. Coming up at number 4, we have The Irishman. This is a 3.5-hour, extremely long, I know, biopic of the life and death of I forgot his name. Robert De Niro's character of Frank the Irishman, who basically is part of a mafia, part of a gangster group. It's basically another Scorsese gangster film. And it's told in a really interesting way and leaves you hooked from the first scene to the last. While it is pretty long and you might want to do it episodically, you can also watch the film and never let go of what's telling you. And my god, Scorsese's direction is something unlike any other filmmaker has ever done. Coming up at number 3, we have Marriage Story. This has some of the most real performances I have seen this year from both Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson. These two characters were fantastic, and these actors have to get Oscar nominations for their work. They were able to play off a couple having a divorce very well in some of the hardest situations, and you really feel a connection with them, and you really want them to just feel happy for once in this really desperate moment. Coming up at number 2, we have Avengers Endgame. This was an extremely satisfying conclusion to the Infinity Saga. All the character arcs have been closed. All the characters that we've seen from the past films have come back, and the story is just really simple. Was able to be fast-paced, even with a 3-hour runtime, and it never felt too long or too boring. It felt just right. The action was exciting, and it has some of the best fight scenes I've seen in a superhero film ever, and for that reason, it's my number 2. But most likely, this is mostly everybody's number 1 of this year. My favorite film of 2019 is Joker. This is a really brutal film to watch. While it is not the most violent film I've ever seen, thematically it is one of the darkest and most depressing ones I've seen this year. Joaquin Phoenix as Arthur Fleck, the Joker, is extraordinary. This is my favorite performance of this year, and he has to get an Oscar nomination for this, at least to win. Please let him win the Oscar. The Academy Award that looked over him for so many years, he needs it. But the directing and cinematography is so beautiful. The score is haunting, and the story is so well told. While it is very simple and you could say it's beat to beat, the themes and things it talks about are really something that I think a lot of people should learn from, even in this day and age, of how we look over maybe the most poorest or not the most special people, and we really beat them down quite literally to the ground, and it just brings out the consequences of both sides and what the outcomes are. But this is Joker. He's most likely at the end going to become a supervillain anyway, and I love this film, and this is my favorite film of the year. This has been a great year. I cannot wait to see what the next decade has in store for us. A lot of superhero films I'm sure of, but I feel like something is going to come out in the middle of the next decade, quite possibly a new genre of films that's going to again redefine the way we watch movies, like this year, like this decade with Marvel. So I cannot wait to see what happens next. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you guys next time.